Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. As you can see, I'm out on a beautiful winter's day. There's deep snow everywhere and the sun is out, so it could be quite promising for photography. It's very cold though. The forecast is saying it's -6, and with a wind chill, there's not a lot of wind but there is a breeze. It's going to be a bit lower, and my car temperature reading certainly agrees with that. That was reading -6 when I left it as well. So I'm going to go on a bit of a hike around the countryside today, hoping to gain some elevation and maybe get some nice views. I don't know, but I'll have to keep walking to find out. It is heavy going, it's quite difficult. But what I want to talk about in this video is keeping my approach to landscape photography gear simple. This is something I really want to employ in my landscape photography and indeed my wildlife photography, but I'm specifically talking about landscape in this one, and I want to keep this approach going throughout 2025. So I'll talk about that a little bit, and yeah, I'll go and make some progress. So I've gained a bit of elevation and it's quite tough going. A lot of snow, very deep snow, and I think it just makes the hiking a bit harder, but I'm managing fine and I'm enjoying it, and it really is beautiful. No photographs taken yet, but as I said earlier, I'm hoping when I gain a bit more elevation things will appear and the camera will come out. So I just wanted to stop briefly to talk about my simple approach to landscape photography gear moving throughout the coming year. It's something I've thought about for quite a while. It's nothing too complex, and it really hit home a few days ago. I was out exploring a new woodland, and I walked for about eight and a half miles, I think it was. I'll show you some clips of that. And I was primarily out to scout for landscape photography and for wildlife, because I knew there was going to be some more snowfall in the coming days, so I thought it was going to look even better. So I was walking around and I had all my camera gear with me in case I saw something, and that's basically what happens most of the time when I go out. I feel I'm carrying my complete set of landscape photography gear. I've got a few lenses, I'm carrying filters, I'm carrying a tripod, I'm carrying so many spare memory cards, cleaning cloths, batteries, you know, all sorts of things. And I definitely think that's the right thing to do at times. If you're going to a once in a lifetime place, or you're going somewhere you think there's fantastic opportunity, but you've no idea what you're going to encounter, you might need filters, you might need a few lenses, etc, etc. Take everything, absolutely. But I think a lot of the time I'm carrying a lot of gear and I don't need half of it. It's a very simple concept, but it's true. And I definitely don't want to change any of my camera equipment. I'm really happy with everything I've got. It serves my needs perfectly. I like all my tripods, I like my camera equipment, so I'm not going to try and look for lighter weight things. They're absolutely fine. It's just that I think I carry too many things with me a lot of the time. So today, pretty much I've got myself, I've got my camera, I've got one lens, I've got a battery in the camera and a spare battery, I've got a spare memory card, a snack, that's pretty much it, a cleaning cloth. And I think a lot of the time that's enough. Now obviously, if I encountered a fantastic river, and I want to do a long exposure, an extremely long exposure for some reason, I won't have the gear to do that. If I need a tripod, I won't have it. I've got a little vlogging type setup for my camera. It would never take my Nikon, so I wouldn't use that. But yeah, you could miss out on things, but a lot of the time, just taking a shot handheld, the stabilisation in modern cameras is so good, I really don't think we need all that gear. The key thing is to try and take a lens with you that offers a good focal length range, I think, and it's going to give you a few opportunities. So yeah, I don't really think a tripod or anything would benefit me today. I'm not going to be bothered about filter, so I just want to keep things as easy as possible for myself and enjoy the landscape photography. And I think if you're managing your hikes and you're feeling good, you're tempted to go a bit further. You may reach the top of a hill, you may go around that next bend in a woodland and see a fantastic woodland scene unfold in front of you that you would never have seen if you're laden down with gear and it's getting in your way. Now obviously this is subjective, it depends on yourself, your ideas, your fitness and so on. I can certainly carry all my stuff, but I just feel sometimes it gets in the way, there's no need for it. So moving throughout 2025, I'm definitely going to try and carry much less with me when I go out. At times I'll take everything, of course you'll see me carrying everything. Sometimes I may take a large hiking backpack simply because I've got a lot of food, water, clothes with me, but very little camera equipment. So I'm just going to alter my approach depending on what I want to do. But yeah, I'm going to try and definitely, a lot of the time, whenever I can get away with it, carry much less gear. So anyway, onwards and see if I can find something to photograph. So as I've been walking along, this bank here really drew my attention. The snow is piled up quite thick and there's some lovely curves and some lovely soft light hitting it from the side. And I've been carefully looking to see if I could get an abstract type shot, and then I noticed the top of what I think is a pine tree that's starting to grow poking up through the snow. And there's a couple of bits of snow just fell off onto the ground, blown off by the direction that the wind is coming from, and there's a little bit of snow still on the left, and the light is hitting it really nice, and there's some lovely curves behind it. So this is definitely worth taking a picture, and I may go slightly out of shot here, but as always it's pretty obvious, but don't go too close to your subject and get footprints in the shot. This little section here is absolutely pristine. So I'm going to grab a shot of this, make sure I take in that lovely background. And I think it looks really nice, a little bit abstract, some lovely curves, lovely soft light, beautiful pristine snow, a few little bits that have blown off this young tree with the wind, and yeah, I'm really happy with that. A great little find, I think, on this beautiful winter's day. After taking my first photograph, I continued, and a few minutes later the camera came out again to capture this scene. I really liked the gentle contours hit by the beautiful winter light. Already I was seeing the benefits of having quick and easy access to my camera to capture the scenes that I was drawn to. So I've reached as far as I'm going to go today, and I could fill the video with clips of my feet going through snow, which I've taken a few of already today. I think that'll ultimately get tiring, but I'm now finding it very hard to walk. It's certainly up, you know, sometimes about this high on me, up to my thighs, and even just moving around a small area to try and perfect a composition is incredibly difficult. I'm taking huge drops into the snow. It's not dangerous, but yeah, I think it's becoming a bit of a struggle. So this is as far as I'm going to go. What I have seen is this nice collection of trees just in front of me. There's a nice hill in the background that's getting hit with some sunlight. Everything is not ideal. It's impossible to space out all the elements perfectly in my composition, but I think we need to accept that you're not always going to get the perfect composition. However, it's a nice memory for me today, and this is how I'm going to finish my day. Getting back to the theme of the video, I'm certainly glad that I've been carrying as little gear as I have today, because it's been incredibly tough going. To think of another huge backpack on me, a lens, lots of other gear, it would have just made it harder, a tripod and so on. Here, I wish I could get a little higher, but it's impossible. And I'm going to be able to take this handheld. I've taken a very small number of images today, most of them at ISO 64. I think one I took at ISO 100, so no real need for a tripod. Here it's going to be difficult to get everything sharp, I think front to back, pin sharp, but I'll get it acceptably sharp in the background. Even using a tripod, if I was wanting to do a focus stack, it would be no real use to me here because of the connection between my foreground and the background, the overlap. You would never get on a computer a perfect focus stack. So my main concern is getting these trees sharp, the foreground and the background acceptably sharp. You can of course focus stack handheld. It's not as good as using a tripod of course, but there's no point here. I would never attempt to do a focus stack for the background. Foreground would work, but I can get the foreground and trees sharp in one image. So we'll give this one a go. So even shooting this scene in front of me at f16 with my shutter speed high enough to freeze any motion in the trees, my ISO is only at 160. And it's the exact same settings I would be using if I was on a tripod. So a tripod is no advantage to me here, and it wouldn't have been any advantage to me today for any of the images that I've taken. But to be clear, the video is not about tripods and saying not to bring them. They're fantastic tools. I love using a tripod. At times they're essential, at times they're very useful, but there's times they're just not required. So I'm going to try and not carry one if I can get away with it when I'm out doing my photography. It's not a video about camera bodies, lenses, their weight or anything. It's gear as a whole. I just want to carry less of it when I'm out doing my photography. So I hope that makes sense. It may give you something to think about with your own photography. I'm sure a lot of us are guilty, if that's the right word, of carrying too much gear at times when we're out and we don't end up using half of it. So I'm going to work this composition a little bit. I'm really not comfortable moving more than 20-25 feet at most because it's so difficult going. And I think there's potentially another composition here. I may have a look at that, but yeah, I'll show you my favourite image. The settings are probably going to be identical for either composition. I'm only going to be moving a few feet, and I'll show you what I get.
In a minute you will hear me say how I wanted to head back down as conditions were very difficult and the sun was about to drop behind the distant hills. On my way down I saw this scene, but I was aware that I had a long way to go and it was very difficult underfoot. I began to think, should I stop and take this or should I keep going, as I know it's going to be dark before I reach my car. With easy access to my camera, I decided I had to take this photograph. I certainly didn't rush it, and considerable thought went into the composition and camera settings. Had my camera been tucked away into a heavy backpack, had I been carrying a tripod too, factoring in the challenging hiking conditions and fading light, I think there is a strong chance this photograph may never have existed. I really like this photograph and I'm very glad that my lightweight approach to gear on this day helped motivate me to take it.
So some images from this spot are now safely on the memory card. I'm happy with what I've taken today. I've not taken very many images at all, but they're going to be nice memories of being out on this beautiful winter's day. Having said that, it is now getting bitterly cold. Whenever I take off my gloves, my hands are just instantly freezing cold. My feet's getting a bit cold as well, and that's no surprise because in this area it's been up to about the height of my thighs, so I'm sinking down. It's quite difficult walking, and for that reason it's going to take me quite a while to get back down out of here. So I want to head off when there's still a little bit of sunlight. The sun is just above the hills off to my left here, and I'm glad I'm not going to be carrying as much gear as normal on my way back. So yeah, this simple approach to photography equipment I think is going to make my photography a little bit more enjoyable in 2025. It's never a pleasure carrying tons of gear around with you, and sometimes when you go home and you've not used half of it, you think it was pretty much pointless. So we'll see how I get on with that, but I really do hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really do appreciate it as always, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one.